Hello everyone, welcome to BizzTalk World Talk Show presented by Clickaway Creators. Today we have Mr. Prashant Menon with us. Prashant has more than 19 years of professional experience in manufacturing and IT industry. He has been associated with large global customers and SMBs across diverse industry verticals including discrete manufacturing, professional services, automotive, utilities, pharmas, to name a few, and engaging with them in successfully executing IT and business transformation initiatives. He is now associated with Whitepaper Solutions as one of its founders. In Whitepaper, the focus is on consulting and transformation to enable customers embark on Industry Revolution 4.0. So now, without further ado, let's dive into more about him. So, hi, Mr. Prashant. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Nikhil. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Pleasure is all ours. And now, Mr. Menon, please brief us about your journey so far as a professional.
Yeah. So, Nikhil, as you mentioned, I have close to, I think, by end of this year, we're close to 20 years of experience in the industry. I'm a chemical engineer by, I did my graduation in 2000, and I started my career in the manufacturing industry. Was with SR Steel and British Oxygen Company, BOC, where instantly I was also an end user of some of these IT applications, which I'm consulting now, right? So I got a fairly good head start in the IT industry by way of being an end user of some of these applications. And then around 2005, I moved out of manufacturing and into the IT world. Initially started off my career as a salesperson, selling some of the enterprise resource planning ERP applications like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, etc. And then slowly moved into multiple roles in the IT domain as a pre-sales executive, and then into project management, program management, and then into also practice management, setting up a practice for SAP and other solutions for various companies, including HCL, Capgemini, and other top IT players. And in 2017, I decided, along with my current partner, business partner Pradeep Bhaskaran, whom I met in my previous company, Automotive, where the day we met, from the day we met, we had this thing of wanting to do something on our own. And finally, we took that leap of faith in 2017 and started off Whitepaper Solutions. In fact, this month we will complete 5 years, as an organization. And it's been a good journey. Has had its ups and downs, like any other aspect of life, and it's been a good learning as well, both throughout my career as an employee for various companies and also as an entrepreneur. On the past 5 years. Yeah, so it's been good. God has been very kind, and hopefully this will continue in the coming years. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for guiding us through your journey, Mr. Menon. Now, further, I would like to ask you, did you face any obstacles in your path of success? And if yes, how did you overcome and supersede them?
Indeed, yes. So the first obstacle I faced was while changing industries from manufacturing into IT. Although I got a good break because I was doing a part-time MBA in Mumbai with an institute called Menon, where I used to take classes early in the morning and then go for work subsequently. So 6 to 9 was my classroom session, and from 9 to 6 was the work. That's where I got my initial break. It was tough because even with having some knowledge about the IT industry, and with the kind of experience that I was carrying, close to 4 to 5 years in manufacturing, everyone was keen on having me on board because of my manufacturing exposure. But of course, they had their doubts, when it came to the IT bit, and I really had to struggle initially for the first 6 to 8 months to prove them that I can pick up skills on the IT front. And of course, I consulted a lot of people who worked in the industry to gain some knowledge about how the industry works and how I can add, more value. Right. So that was my initial, the first real struggle. There's a change of industry. Second is, of course, during the 2008 financial crisis, most companies were letting go of people, and I had to somehow make sure that I wasn't one among them. And I had to sort of cross-skill and upskill myself and make myself more valuable to the organization and make sure that I wasn't part of the set of people who were unfortunately laid off. And many people were laid off at that time because the industry was, impacted very heavily because of the financial crisis. So one thing I learned is, like in any industry, yes, you have to keep learning to keep yourself relevant. But in the IT industry, it's all more the case because things change so rapidly. Something that is in vogue today may not be, even in the top 10 2 years down the line. So it's very important to keep reinventing yourself, learning new stuff. At the same time, not lose focus on what you are doing, and maintain that balance, right? So that was my second struggle. Third was, of course, when we started off Whitepaper, we didn't have a client for the first almost 9 months of the company. We had to dip into our personal savings to, make do. Thankfully, and this being, the Women's Day today, it's very important to highlight the fact that our wives, both mine and Pradeep, both of them are working women, and without their continuous support, we would have not, been where we are today, because they are the ones who, manage the family, manage the finances for us in those initial days of struggle, and helped put food on the table. And made sure that we didn't, nothing was impacted, in our personal lives, including our children's education, etc. Right. So that was a huge learning, and the fact that we cannot. So we had a lot of personal connects from our previous organizations, including clients, but we made sure that we don't go to them right at the beginning, because when you go to someone and tell them, yeah, you know what, I have started a company, can you give us some business? It doesn't add a lot of value, and they are sort of obliged to give you the business because you know them, right? It doesn't come out of merit; it comes more out of they feel sorry for you and they try to give you something, right? And we didn't want that, so we were very sure that we will only go to new customers. We'll do cold calling, we'll knock on the doors and try to get new clients on board. And once we prove ourselves with those clients, only then will we go to the people that we know and tell them, you know what, see, this is what we have done in the last 2 years. Now we would like to come and offer something to you and do business with you. And that helped a lot, because all the clients whom we knew before, they appreciated the fact that we are coming to them with something on the table instead of asking for business on table. So that was a huge learning, and that also helped us hold in good stead for the last 4 or 5 years in business. Yeah, so these are the 3 key sort of struggles, I would say, which we managed to overcome with a lot of support from our family and friends and our clients and partners.
So it's been quite a journey, and all the obstacles and the hardship always, as we all know, that always leads to beautiful destinations. So yes, I mean, that was really, really nice. And now I would just like to ask you, like, what are your methods of people management?
So, Nikhil, over the course of my career, I have had all kinds of bosses, people who have been hard taskmasters, but at the same time, so you could say with a velvet touch, right? So, when they pull you up, you feel bad, but then when you realize that they are doing it for your own good, you actually appreciate the fact that they did that to you, right? I've also had bosses who were, taskmasters, but didn't add a lot of value. So, I made sure that when I handle a team, I would not, use those methods to, nurture and manage, my associates. And also have had bosses who have given me a free rein to do whatever I wanted, but at the same time also keeping tabs on, a tab on how things are moving and whether they need to step in, etc., etc. So yes, so I've sort of picked up from all these, and the way we work is that we believe if we are hiring a person for a particular skill, we should not be a roadblock, in their path in exploring those skills, right? We cannot hire an achiever and then ask him to do things in a certain way, him or her, right? That would, essentially, doesn't serve the purpose. One, second, it will put off the person. It doesn't help the person grow. So we give them a free rein, of course, within the ambit of, whatever corporate and policies and norms and ethical norms that we have, right? But the idea is that we want them to fail fast, learn fast, fail small, because when you fail fast, you fail small most of the times. When you wait for failure to happen at a later time, you fail very big. And sometimes people don't recover from that, right? So it's important to fail fast, fail soon, and move and learn, and then move fast. And then we encourage people to take those risks. We want them to come up with ideas, tell them that, okay, Prashant, yes, we have been doing this for the last 20 years, but maybe we need to try something different. And if we feel there's merit in that suggestion, we definitely help, allow, or rather, facilitate people to, take those risks. Number one. Number two, the pandemic has taught us, pandemic having forced us to work from home. We were forced to micromanage, some of the time, because we needed to see what people are doing sitting at home, right? So, because they're not sitting with us in office. But then instead of trying to put those, monitoring tools and, like some of the big IT companies were doing, right? You literally had to sit in front of the laptop for 8 hours without even moving, and clock those 8 hours, to make sure that your timesheets are built. So instead of doing that, we decided what we'll do is you let us know as an individual, you let us know your commitments during the day. If you have to go pick up your kid from school, or if you have to go step out to buy groceries, or someone is delivering something from Amazon, you have to go to the gate and pick it up, etc. You let us know that, during the day, these are the 5 or 6 times where I will not be available for half an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, or you have to take someone to the hospital, etc., etc. Just let us know. Let us know about your availability in advance, so that we can plan our work, we can plan our client meetings and discussions accordingly, right? So that really helped, because initially people were skeptical of opening up about, what, I need to go to the washroom, and then once they realize, yeah, that's part and parcel of our lives, right? If we have to go, we have to go. You can't not go to the washroom if you really need to go. So people start opening up, and they're very comfortable sharing their daily activities. Of course, we don't get into the what they do and how they do their private lives. That's not none of our concern, as long as the work gets done. But yes, but there has to be a very clear communication. So communication is something which we felt was very important. Two-way, both the ways, right? The rest of the aspects of team management, training, grooming, growing, those are all the standard stuff which every organization does. And it is very much required to make sure that we cross-skill and upskill people, understand what are their strong points, and then, if they feel there are any weak, areas that needs improvement, we of course give them that attention and training required. But mostly it's about how comfortable they are sharing their views, their thoughts, which we feel ultimately helps them grow. Sorry if I'm being too long in my responses.
It's totally fine. There's so much to learn from you. And what I can understand from here is that it's always the right people for the right job.
Absolutely.
Or the maximum output, right?
And Nikhil, the right people, the right job, again, is something which we don't get to know on day one, right? You never know whether the person is the right person for this job, because we hire a person based on a lot of assumptions. In spite of all the aptitude tests and written tests and interviews that we do, there are still people who don't fit in after 6 months and they leave. Which is part of the job, and I would say it's good that they realize it at the earliest and then they move on, because it helps them as well as us no longer in continuing a relationship which is not working for either of us, right? So yeah, but then there are people who have come and joined us from completely different industry. There's someone who joined us from bank. There's another person who was working in a car workshop. He's a mechanical engineer working in a workshop who joined us, and he's now one of our account managers. So we have all sorts of background people from different backgrounds coming in and realizing that okay, this is something that's working for them, and it's helped them and helped us eventually. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, what is your time management mantra?
Yeah, I mean, when again, so everything is pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, right? There's a new normal now. So a lot of things that we used to do before COVID doesn't, it's not relevant anymore. So before COVID, of course, we used to come to office every day. So the fact that we had to come, get ready, and step out of the house by 9 a.m., 8:30 a.m. So that itself was a regulator, right? It made you to do certain things on time because you had to be in office by 9, 9:30, right? And all of that went out of the window once the pandemic started. We were sitting in front of the laptop right from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. The laptop was always on. There was no control on, work time as well as personal time. But of course, and it started affecting many of our, many of us, our health, etc. We put on a lot of weight. In fact, I'm still trying to lose a lot of weight, gained a lot in the last 2 years. So one thing which I realized, which I had read about earlier, Nikhil, but I never believed in, was that you have to write down your goals, right? I felt it was a very childish exercise, opening up a book and writing down your goals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what you want to do. I felt, why you want to do that? If you know what you have to do, you will do it. Why do you need to write it down and, set a reminder? But I really found it as, very powerful when I saw that I wrote it down. And when you see that every day, it's sort of a reminder that, it's something you have committed. It's not no longer in just in your brain. It's also there in writing. And shame on you if you don't follow that. That's the feeling I got. That piece of paper is staring at me and telling me that, what, Prashant, you wrote this 3 days ago and you're not even done anything out of it. And that was like a good wake-up call. And I felt it's more powerful because when someone else tells you this, you take it as an affront. You feel offended. You are like, why? Who are you to tell me to do this? But when you yourself have, written a statement and made that statement and made that commitment, and you don't do it, I think it hits back at you, and it makes you realize that the importance of following those goals. And this could be anything. For me now, it's become very routine to start my day with an hour-long walk. It can be as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 5:36, depending on the cold in Bangalore, right? But then I make sure that I go to bed by 10:30 so that I get a good 7 hours of sleep. And then, of course, the rest of the day falls in place. I'm following a low carb diet at this point to reduce the weight. So everything revolves around that. 3 meals a day, but low on carb, more on protein, fat, etc. And on time. I don't skip meals. And then, of course, during the day, we have all these calls. And today being, again, a post-pandemic world, pretty much everything is based on a pre-scheduled call, right? There's always a Teams or a Zoom call that's scheduled throughout the day. So everything revolves around that. But yeah, time management is important. My own time, your time, everyone's time, unless we appreciate, unless we value our own time, how will we value the clients and our associates and partners' time? So that's a big learning.
Great. So, I mean, it's always, it always helps when you actually take out time for yourself, be it, it can be the exercise that you do or anything. So it always helps.
Yeah.
And yeah, now that you have an immense experience and you have worked in a number of verticals and with a number of big firms, so I would just like to ask you, like, what is your advice to young professionals in the industry?
In the IT industry, I mean, in my industry. Yeah. First and foremost, uh, the technical skills are important. Without that, you would not be. So IT industry has different flavors. One is the core technical flavor where you need to be a developer, something like a Java, .NET, Python, whatever is the flavor of the moment, right? You pick up on those skills and develop. That is one. On the other side, you have the architects who understand the entire IT landscape of the client, and then also how the various pieces of software and hardware fit in, and that's what the architecture is all about. And then third, you have on the program management and the management side, who essentially specialize in how to handle people and get to deliver a project, with all the ups and downs of any project life cycle. And then fourth is a subject matter expert, right? So traditionally, this has been the structure, right? The subject matter expert is someone who knows the industry, a manufacturing industry expert, a banking industry expert, a retail industry expert, so on and so forth. But what has happened is in the last 5 to 8 years, with the advent of IoT and bots and RPA and all that, a lot of these things are no longer defined. There are no clear boundaries anymore, right? Because things are in flux. A lot of the levels are shifting. There's a tectonic shift in the way things have been working in the IT industry. So now, for any young aspirant who wants to be in the industry, while it's important to know the technical skills, it's very important to also understand the client's business. There is no point building a solution for which there is no problem. You have to solve a problem to build a solution. A lot of the people I see today, because funding is a lot more easier nowadays because of the venture capital culture is and also the Shark Tank coming to India, etc. It's very easy to come up with a new innovative idea and then look for funding and then start. But 9 out of 10 fail. Very few of them actually become profitable businesses, mainly because the focus is always on building something new, building something innovative without necessarily solving the problem. You need to solve a problem. You need to solve a business problem. And to solve a business problem, you need to understand the business. So a Java consultant or a Python consultant or a .NET consultant, if they want to build something, should also know how an oil and gas industry works, how a plastic manufacturer works, how a car manufacturer works, how a bank operates, how a retail FMCG works. If you know the cycle of business, it will become easier for you to identify the problems, the gaps, and then build those solutions. Right? So that is my first advice. Don't become that I am a Java consultant. I don't care what the client does. You tell me what to do, I will build it. They'll remain a Java consultant all their lives. They rarely graduate to the next level, right? Because they are not interested in what the client is doing. Right? That's number one. Number two, many times technical consultants don't give a lot of importance on communication and soft skills. It's very important to have those skills to interact with the client. Client is a layman. You cannot talk in a technical language to them. You have to talk to them in their language. You have to make them understand like how you're talking to a 5-year-old person, a kid, basically, right? So many technocrats and technical consultants fail on that part because they don't think it's important. As long as I'm doing the coding, it's fine. It's very important to develop those skills of bringing out the requirements from the client, training them, and making sure that they use the solution that you are doing, right? The third, of course, the standard advice of keep learning, keep cross-skilling, upskilling yourself. Don't get stuck into one technology. That worked in the last 20-25 years, but now the next 5 years, 10 years, things are changing very fast. So you have to keep yourself updated. Pick up on crypto and other areas if possible. It's very important to have a good knowledge on bots, RPA, IoT, cryptocurrency. That's the future. The run-of-the-mill development work is not going to take you beyond the next 3 to 5 years, right? So, and of course, join an organization where you can learn. People, as they say, people leave managers, not companies. So align yourself with people who have more knowledge than you. Always be surrounded with people who know more than you, because that's the only way you learn. Otherwise, you will be surrounded with yes men, and then you will also devolve into their level of So yeah, so this is some of the things that I would like to. Again, it's just a suggestion.
So I believe that all the young professionals out there are actually listening and referring to everything that you just told. I mean, you just explained everything so nicely and precisely that they'll definitely get to learn a lot from this. And thank you so much for sharing such great insights with us. And we look forward to having a chat with you again in the future on some other trending topics in the international business industry. And for our viewers, if you like this chat with Mr. Prashant Menon, please like and share this video and also subscribe to Clickaway Creators YouTube channel to appreciate what we do. And you have more coming from the international industry leaders. So this is Nikhil for BizzTalk World signing off.